Hello, and welcome to Super Mario Words, where we talk about random Mario things and rank them.
We do that.
Yes. Today, we're going to talk about a deep, complex, and nuanced subject.
Coins!
Yes, and coin. So, I usually this is where I explain some context for the thing.
But they're coins.
I don't know if there's much to add. They float in the air and they're in blocks and you pick them up.
They look like they're made of gold. They're shiny.
They do. Yeah.
They make a pleasing little noise when you get them.
It's true. If they didn't make a noise, would they truly be coins?
Yes.
Well, I suppose. Anyway.
Yes.
So I guess we can just dive into our first discussion question.
Sounds good. Which would be?
Let's see. So the first one is, are coins some kind of natural phenomenon?
That's right, because they do just show up in the games in places where nobody seems to have put them, in midair sometimes, who knows?
Yeah.
And there are a couple places where it's suggested that they are. The Super Smash Bros. Melee trophy refers to them as a natural phenomenon, and so does a quote from Wario Land 4, of all places.
Because of course.
Of course. I mean, to be fair, if anybody's going to know about coins, it's Wario.
Right. Yeah. He doesn't really seem to, actually. Know that much. If anybody has seen a lot of coins, it's Wario. Well, fair enough. It's kind of like in video games where you just get XP by doing the thing more.
Yeah.
Which I guess is sensible because it is a video game.
Yeah, well, there you go.
So, yeah, because, I mean, they're just kind of like, if we compare coins in Mario as we understand them in the real world,
yeah.
I will say that, coins just kind of being around is, a fairly uncommon occurrence.
Indeed.
And, not something that happens particularly just out in the open, wilderness.
Yeah,
I would
sometimes on the sidewalk you'll just randomly find a coin, but
yeah.
Once I found a $5 bill.
Nice.
Yeah.
But they're just kind of everywhere.
They are. They're just all through whichever level you're in. If it doesn't have coins, it's weird.
Yeah. It seems a little bit unlikely to me that Mario has accumulated all of his wealth through coins that fell out of people's pockets.
Yeah, or even Bowser's military caches where they store extra money for buying weapons or whatever.
Cache?
Cache. Okay. I think that's how you pronounce it.
I think it's cash.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. Cash.
Well, we'll never know.
Well, we could hold on. We've got to. Where's the? Oh, come on. I gotta.
You're going this far.
Cash.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're caches of cash.
Yeah. So
right.
Anyway.
I
interrupted the podcast to prove I was right about the pronunciation of a word.
That sounds on brand.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The ones in blocks I can kind of buy.
Yeah.
I mean,
sure.
they are just kind of around, which is not how you typically store your military coffers.
Nope. Especially not in midair if you hit the right block,
Yeah. But we already kind of granted that we are just stealing stuff from Bowser.
Oh yeah.
But
you don't find fire flowers or mushrooms outside the blocks, right?
No, and it's just everything is just kind of floating in the air, which honestly, it's fair to say that objects floating is kind of just a video game construct.
Yes,
but I feel like most objects in the Mario world don't actually function like coins do.
Yeah. Coins really are just this thing.
Yeah, I guess to be fair, in a lot of games, like Super Mario 64, like coins kind of bounce out of things mostly.
Yeah.
You will still just find coins.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, I think that I'm leaning towards that coins are some kind of naturally occurring phenomenon.
Yeah. Phenomenon.
But because like there are points where you can like climb on a like Jack the Beanstalk vine, and go to like a coin heaven, which is just you walk on clouds and there are coins everywhere.
Yes,
and like I don't know if I believe that there is any like agent who exists in the Mario universe who could plausibly be argued to have put those there.
In one of the in Super Paper Mario,
yes,
there's an enemy who claims that he is the one who leaves coins everywhere. His name is Footsteps of Coins. It is very unlikely, though, because he only shows up in this one game. It isn't particularly plot important.
Yeah, see, there's a Santa-like problem with that presupposition, which is that he'd really have to put in overtime.
He would have to put it... He would need to be everywhere all of the time.
Yeah. I think the wiki itself questions his statement. A thing fan wikis don't generally do.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So even if a very literal fan wiki is saying, this is probably not true, then it's probably not true.
Yeah. And
Home Depot.
I felt like we had... Like, I think I mentioned this before we recorded. Yeah. The fact that coins are such a mechanical concept in the games means that different explanations of them are almost certainly going to be contradictory.
Definitely.
The claim that coins have a supernatural origin, I find that actually surprisingly plausible.
Yeah.
Because again, coin heaven.
Coin heaven, yeah.
Coin heaven now.
So, man. One more thing I wanted to point out before we move on from this.
Yep.
Which is that in New Super Mario Bros. 2, there is the gold flower, which lets you shoot fireballs that turn things into coins. And that's weird. That it just gives you the power to just shoot things and turn them into coins, and I feel like that really supports the whole supernatural phenomenon thing.
That game isn't that game like really focused on like coin generation? Yeah,
like there's one of the goals of the game is to collect 1 million coins, and it gives you a gold Mario statue, and it turns into a gold raccoon Mario statue if you get 9,999,999 coins.
You know, I'm really interested to see how that plays, because that feels like a very un-Mario concept.
It feels like a Wario concept.
Yeah, or it feels like that kind of goal. Like it feels like it's from a very different kind of game.
Yeah.
Like Mario is very like straightforwardly like progress oriented, or I guess collection is core to like the like Mario 64 descendants.
Yeah, but at the same time, that's like each individual level is progress-oriented, and you get things for finishing levels.
Yeah, like the original star, like Power Star, is basically just an excuse to put multiple levels in one area.
Yeah, to measure your progress.
Pretty much.
And to give you little ways in which you can get more progress.
Yeah, so... while we were doing this, I was looking up something else, which is the treasure ship from Super Mario Bros. 3, which is just a ship full of coins.
Oh yeah.
And I suspect that I have a suspicion. My intuition is that the treasure ship is probably also a supernatural source of coins.
Ooh, like a ghost ship.
Yeah, because like it doesn't seem like it's. It's not empty, but there's like one enemy in it, I guess.
Yeah, like if it was like Bowser's Fort Knox, it would surely be guarded.
Yeah, and it just kind of like just from a weird combination of
events can cause like a Hammer Brother to just transform into a treasure ship. Like it just seems like a very like strange sort of happenstance.
Definitely feels supernatural.
It is also it's a reference to the Japanese folklore concept, the Takarabune, which is a mythical ship piloted through the heavens by the 7 lucky gods during the first 3 days of the new year.
Wow.
It's supernatural.
It is super supernatural.
Yeah, so I'm going with that. Like,
yeah.
Large caches of coins are associated with mythological concepts.
Yeah.
And I think that coins must just spring forth.
Yeah.
Which...
Yeah.
It seems to me that if we're talking about a supernatural source of currency...
Yes.
Then with these, like, caches, like coin heavens and treasure ships, it seems like inflation would be controlled by these entities kind of releasing like timed bursts of currency to people who find them, which means that the golden coins are very similar to bitcoins.
That is not where I thought you were going at all.
I know, because I just had to relish that realization. But I'm not
Bitcoins.
Wrong, am I?
Yeah, no, you're not wrong.
It's just that instead of blockchain, it's vaguely defined supernatural entities. But then again, for people who are really into Bitcoin, the blockchain is their god. So I think it's basically the same thing.
And to be fair, sometimes you do get them out of blocks. So
yeah,
if not chains,
you get them from long strings of blocks containing coins. So they
you go.
Block chains. And in fact, in early games,
yes,
you would have coins as sprite data contained as bit planes on their ROM, which means that they are bitcoins in a blockchain.
Oh god!
I think I've killed it. I think we need to move on to the next discussion question.
Me too. Move
on,
please. Oh lord.
Oh Christ. Okay. Does the Mushroom Kingdom's wish-influenced anarcho-monarchism, which is how we've decided the Mushroom Kingdom works,
yes.
How does that influence how its economy is seen by other nations?
Okay. So the first thing here is that what I thought you were building up to with the whole bursts of coins are given to people who supernaturally find them is that is pretty similar to wishes and how those work.
And
Bitcoin, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, Bitcoin also works by wishes, apparently.
I can see what you mean.
Yeah.
So they're like wish coins.
Yes. Haha, what if we destroy the world with wishes and replace it with a world of bitcoins?
Fuck.
Okay.
See, we're going less lore heavy here, and instead just kind of going with jokes. 19 episodes in, we finally are having jokes.
Yes. Because everything else we've ever said on the podcast has been 100% serious.
Absolutely, without a doubt, completely, absolutely serious.
Absolutely.
I have never been more serious about all of the things I've said in every prior episode.
Especially Petey Piranha.
Especially, look, the seriousness with which I hate his dumb pants cannot be underestimated or dismissed.
Yes.
It is 100% serious. Anyway.
Yes. Anyway.
So in preparation for this episode, we did look at different kinds of currencies.
Yes.
I would say that most other currencies in the Mario universe are a little more limited.
Yeah, like, okay. The big thing is in Super Mario Odyssey has regional coins. Every kingdom has its own coins.
Yeah.
And in that game, they're purple. We don't have to assume they're actually purple in story, but each kingdom has its own coins, and then there are the regular coins, which can be used anywhere, but for different things than the regional coins.
Right. Which is an interesting dynamic, I think.
Yeah. And I think that implies that this supernatural phenomenon occurs all over the world. Everyone's familiar with it. But they also have their own currencies, which are possibly backed by these coins.
I can see how that might make a measure of sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
You floated the idea that there might be a difference between Mushroom Kingdom currency and
coins.
And coins.
Yeah. Which notably in Super Mario Odyssey, the Mushroom Kingdom has its own currency, which is coins with a star stamped on them, which I believe are the same ones from Super Mario 64.
I think you're right.
Yeah, they've definitely appeared in other games as the main coins.
Hold on. Super Mario 64 coin. Yeah, I believe you're right.
And that would especially make sense because Super Mario 64 takes place in Peach's Castle, where you would expect to find the Mushroom Kingdom's coins.
Yeah, which it's funny because those coins are just kind of all over everywhere as well.
Yes.
But they're also not real because they're in paintings.
Yes.
So
which means they're a form of fiat currency.
Are they?
I don't know.
That just means it's printed by the government, right?
Well, no, it means it isn't backed up by anything. Like, instead of currency that's backed by a promise of gold or silver or whatever, it's just money that exists to be money.
Right.
And libertarians get super mad about that.
Yeah. I don't know if I like, in the back of my mind, I know what fiat currency is.
Yeah.
But I just kind of associated with it, like, libertarian weirdness.
Yeah, basically.
And then forget what it actually means.
Yeah. Anyway, I was making a joke. Let's keep going.
Yeah. It didn't land because I didn't know what the word meant.
Anyway.
So, yeah. So, okay. If this phenomenon happens everywhere, then these coins aren't, like, unique to the Mushroom Kingdom.
That's true.
So I guess the question is, do we take Mario Odyssey's implication that they do have their own separate currency?
Yeah.
Or do you think that they are just the one kingdom insane enough to use this magical heaven currency directly as their own money?
That would make a lot of sense. So there's a second game that refers to the Mushroom Kingdom's coins as something separate. And that is Mario and Luigi's Superstar Saga.
Mm-hmm.
You go to the Bean Kingdom, and they're like, they set an actual exchange rate, but it's bonkers. Like, at one point, it's whatever number of coins you have on you exchanges to 10 Bean coins. Yeah. Later on, it's that I think 99 trillion mushroom coins equate to 99 Bean coins.
Right.
So either A, the Bean Kingdom does not think at all highly of the Mushroom Kingdom's coins, or B, these people in power who are talking to you when these things are happening are just randomly screwing you over.
Yeah. I feel like that is a joke about the commonness of coins in the Mushroom Kingdom. Which kind of makes me lean towards the latter interpretation that they are the only kingdom insane enough to use this falling from the skies heaven coins as their direct currency.
Possibly. It's also, like, possible that, like, they have the mushroom coins to trade with other kingdoms and stuff, but within them they just use the heaven coins.
Right.
And that especially makes sense, I think, because I looked up the history of Japanese money.
Right.
Because I'm insane. Mm-hmm. And for a long time, the main thing in which taxes were paid and such was rice.
Okay.
I believe a koku was the amount of rice necessary to feed one person for 1 year.
Mm.
And a lot of coins when they made them were often made in reference to that amount.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So rather than, like, making their currency in reference to something stupid like a shiny metal.
Yeah.
They use it in reference to what someone needs to survive.
Exactly.
That
Which makes a lot of sense, actually.
it almost like does kind of make sense.
Yeah.
I wonder how much rice that is, because
It's a good question. There wasn't...
people eat different amounts of food.
Right?
Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, and so it's interesting because when we look at these heaven coins, right? The original thing about them is that they are consumable. 100 coins turns into 1 extra life.
Right.
And while what an extra life means in story terms is probably not something super concrete.
I would not take extra lives as like a real concept in the Mushroom Kingdom. At least not until we do an episode on them.
Yes.
Then I will change my mind.
There's still the implication that, like, possibly these heaven coins aren't just something you stick in the bank. Possibly they're something that you actively use.
Well, that's a good segue into our next discussion question.
Yes.
Which is, do coins serve an in-universe purpose?
Yes.
Besides just being money?
Just being money, yeah.
Because there's a lot of different kinds of coins.
Yes.
In the Mushroom Kingdom. A number of them kind of just seem to exist to, like, as collectibles to get a bigger collectible.
Yeah, like the dragon coins in the original Super Mario World.
Yeah.
The red and blue coins often lead to getting an extra star in Super Mario 64.
Now, I will draw a distinction.
Yes.
Red coins in Super Mario 64 are, when they are collected, they, like, cause a power star to appear.
Yes.
Somehow.
Yeah.
Whereas in Super Mario Sunshine, blue coins are a currency you pay someone to get a shine sprite.
Okay.
So those blue coins are an actual currency, and they appear to be specific to Isle Delfino, which again kind of reinforces this idea that that you need currency beyond just the heaven rain money.
Yeah. And interesting. Blue coins actually do show up in Mario 64 too.
Yeah, I believe they're just worth 5.
Yeah, they're just worth 5 though.
Yeah.
And yeah. But yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that, I guess there are definitely a few coins that do appear to do something specific.
Yeah.
But most of them do function as currencies.
Yeah. Like, it becomes, over time, it becomes more and more common for you to trade some kind of coin for a thing.
Right. And Super Mario 64, all of the red coin collecting, of course, takes place inside magic paintings.
Yes.
So we don't need to kind of imply that this is like a magic that comes from the coins. It could just be the way that the magic in the painting works.
That's true.
So I think that unless we are determining that, like, the way the whole, like, collecting coins to get an extra life is some kind of, like, in-universe thing they do, it kind of seems like that they do just kind of function mainly as currency.
That's fair. It's still...
What do you think? Do you have any counterexamples for that?
Okay. I probably do, but God, the coin article on Super Mario Wiki is huge.
Oh, not surprising at all.
Not surprising at all. They're in all the games.
Yeah. I have definitely had a thought.
Oh, there we go. You go ahead, though.
Kind of bubbling in the back of my head.
Yeah.
Which is, like, what if you can eat them?
Yeah, no, that's what I've been thinking ever since I learned about the rice thing. Like, what if they are something that can be consumed in some meaningful way? Especially since they go in the same blocks as fire flowers, mushrooms, starmen, things like that, all of which you can apparently take into your body and use somehow. Maybe not. Did we decide whether or not you can eat fire flowers?
I think that we decided that you
just rub them on your hands, right?
I believe that's where we ended up.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's still consumable, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of questions that I think are answered if we assume that coins are a thing you can eat.
Yes.
And
especially, like, okay, one in-universe thing that I found that doesn't relate to spending them or getting extra lives is in, of course, the Mario Kart games, where they make your kart faster. And if there's some, like, some kind of fuel, some kind of energy, then that would make sense.
Maybe.
I mean, we only want to touch on the sports games in terms of canon, but it does support the idea.
See, because you hold on to the coins when you are doing the Mario Kart, it leaves you with the impression that the coins are not that they're fuel, but that they are magic. Because you don't. If you stuck it into your tank like a nitro, you would consume it.
Oh, that's true, because you're actually holding on to a certain number of coins in those games.
Yeah, which you do use mushrooms like a nitro, which is very funny.
It is.
I don't know how literally we should take the kart games.
I mean, that is fair. That is fair, but it's always fun to bring them up.
But
yeah,
I think that maybe we could kind of sit on the idea that A, they're edible, and B, they're magic.
Yes.
Which would make sense if they had a supernatural source.
Yeah.
And does, I'm sure you are relieved to know, make them less like Bitcoin.
That's true. Bitcoin is like where, in stories where magic and technology are inherently opposed. Yeah. I think that's often a stupid trope, but I think it makes perfect sense with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is one of the least magical things I can think of.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I think that Bitcoins are opposed to everything we stand for.
Yes. Here on Super Mario Words, we come down with a firm stance against Bitcoins.
Yeah. I mean, it's got, it's associated with a combination of just all kinds of bad things, crime, the internet.
Wait.
Smug tech bros.
Yeah, that is a bad thing. Libertarianism.
Yeah, libertarians. We, okay. This is straying away from Mario for a little bit.
Okay.
But I just gotta say this.
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoins are the currency version of I have to stock up on guns to protect myself from the government.
Yes. Yes, they are.
And the craziest thing about that is that they don't work without computers.
Yep.
This isn't you can't stock up for in a bunker Bitcoins.
Yeah.
They work with computers.
The Bitcoins require all of the other people on the Bitcoin network. That's kind of how the blockchain's designed.
Yeah. A little bit off topic, but I just find Bitcoins really funny.
Yes. Well, that's why they're the focus of our first jokes here on Super Mario Words.
Yeah, it's true. So, I guess let's see.
Okay.
We have. So I think, are we settled on the idea that coins are edible?
Yes.
And we are settled on the premise that coins are magical, although we don't know exactly what that does.
Yes. No, we don't yet, but we do agree on those two things. They're edible and they're magic.
Okay.
They're edible magic.
Shall we move on to our next discussion question then?
Absolutely.
This is convenient because it lets us narrow in on the conclusion we've just reached, which...
Excellent.
What are coins made of?
What are coins made of? Because they look like gold.
They look like gold, and I did notice an immediate problem.
Yes.
Which is that even if we take gold, the coins to be really just a lot smaller than they appear.
Yeah.
They would be A, extremely valuable, and B, very heavy.
Very heavy.
Gold is a heavy metal.
It really is. But
not heavy metal. It is just a heavy metal. Gold Gold is not actually a very metal.
Gold is more like the Goldfinger theme.
Gold is
only gold.
Gold is a very like mainstream normie metal.
It is. It's like, Gold Records and
yeah.
It's the most pop of metals, really.
How did we get here? This has been one of our most unfocused episodes.
Well, that makes sense because it's such a big subject.
It's true. But if we assume that they are made of an edible thing,
yes,
then it makes a lot more sense that Mario could collect them in volume. Like they could be like beans.
Yeah.
Or I mean they could be cake.
They could be cake.
Mario finally just like cuts one open and it's just cake inside.
Man, I think
What?
If they're everywhere and they're edible, I think they're going to be like something more fundamental than cake, like rice.
So. Yeah.
Maybe not as fundamental as that because that's the cornerstone of society. But
yeah, my intuition based on just the tone and feel of the Mario universe, is that they might not be cake, but they're probably sweet.
Yeah, I agree.
A
coin is going to be delicious.
Yeah. Like, I'm put in the mind of, in Spirited Away, right?
Yeah.
When she feeds the little soot people.
Oh, yeah.
And
those little candies.
She got a basket of those little candies.
Yeah.
And I feel like, because it's not just like a treat. They're being fed.
Yeah.
But they are visibly candies.
Yeah.
And I feel like there is probably a connection here.
And what's interesting is there is something in the Mario universe that's directly based on that kind of candy, which is Star Bits.
That's true.
Which is what stars eat.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's true.
So it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but the fact that you collect something that is literally just that kind of candy.
Yeah. That is crucial to maintaining these magical life forms.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Let me think about this. So, I think we are suggesting something radical here.
Yes.
Which is that Mario exists in a universe where the gods or equivalent entities feed the people by raining magic food on them.
Yes.
Which I would say would have a transformative effect on society.
Indeed.
And I think I'm of two minds here.
Yeah.
One is that it makes sense in a world based on wishes.
Yeah.
That it would just rain food.
Yeah.
On the other hand, we kind of had the idea in our heads last episode that wishes were kind of a more ambiguous thing.
Well, to be fair, coins, the thing is, the treasure ship and things like that are the gods raining food on us, but that is a relatively rare phenomenon, and coins are everywhere, but also, like, you probably couldn't live entirely on coins, at least not if they're like in the Mario games, You don't find coins around in every bush.
Although, what if you did?
Well, what if you did?
You just had a coin bush.
That you might have a coin bush. To be fair, there might be coin bushes. There might be sustainable sources of coins, but they're still... That's like an apple tree,
If you bury a coin, do you grow a coin bush?
It's a good question.
I think that warrants further investigation. I guess we did establish that the entities above, I guess the stars, they're not really gods.
Yes, the stars, the wish beings, whatever.
Yeah, they do intervene in the world.
Yes.
But we also kind of figured that it's not common.
Yeah, they have limited intervention. And the treasure ship would be an example of that, just as, like, I don't know, Geno would be.
Do you think so?
I think probably, something like Geno is going to be very, very rare. The actual star coming down, I think that's possibly the only time that's happened in the entire series.
I mean, there's Twink in Paper Mario.
That's true. Okay.
Who is a star.
Who is a star.
But is actually not a twink. Just say.
Oh, boy. We don't have time to get into that classification here.
Okay. Anyway, where were we?
So I think coins themselves are probably more almost a natural kind of supernatural phenomenon.
So do you think that most of the coins come from a source other than Coin Heaven or treasure ships?
I think so, because Mario finds Coin Heaven and treasure ships by doing weird shit.
That's true.
But he also finds coins just there on the ground, floating around, but, Or, occasionally he does in, like, the RPGs knock a single coin off a tree or something.
So what is your thoughts on where those come from?
It's hard to say. Like, it is explicitly kind of a mysterious phenomenon, but at the same time, there seems to be some mechanism whereby coins show up on the land.
Maybe coins are the result of some kind of ambient magic.
Yeah.
Because let me take a step into a different series for a moment.
Okay.
To think this over.
Yeah.
So Toho, right?
Toho.
Toho has fairies.
Yes.
Which are nature spirits.
Yes.
They're immortal. They're always around.
Yeah.
They're common, I would say.
Yes. They're all over the stages.
Yeah, and in addition to just kind of being around generally, they also tend to congregate around sources of great power.
Yes.
And so my question is, maybe the Mario universe equivalent is maybe coins are like fairies. They're magic that kind of springs forth from something about the world.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I feel like a few episodes ago, I don't remember which one, we talked about how the Mario world is magical in this kind of intrinsic way where nobody makes a big deal about how it's magical. It's just kind of a fact of life.
Right.
And it's just an everyday part of their life, and I think coins are a good example of that. Maybe we can think of coin heavens and treasure ships not as direct godly intervention, but as kind of these concentrated magical phenomena that just kind of spring up. It's kind of like if you had a great thunderstorm or something, but it was made of magic. You could have coins literally falling out of the rain,
Yeah, exactly. And I think that also
which I hope wouldn't hurt too much.
Well, if they're not made of metal.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that maybe if everyone is fed by just magic in the air, then it seems like that achieving an anarcho-monarchist society would actually be more likely, because you can't really have serfs when magic food just kind of comes out of the sky.
That is true.
You don't really need people to work the land.
And now, to be fair, we do have kingdoms and even empires in this world, but they probably function very differently.
Right. We decided that the princesses were religious figureheads.
Yeah.
So that looks very different, I think.
Yeah.
Than what we think of.
And it's also possible,
yes,
since we were talking about how wishes exist and the concentrations of things, that the Mushroom Kingdom is one of the highest places in this ambient magic.
You think it's very magical?
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I guess I feel like we have a pretty good picture of how coins work.
Yes. You can eat them.
You can't eat them. Which brings us back to our core question.
Yes.
What are they made of?
Yeah.
Because we've gotten to a good place. The one answer is you take a big old bite out of it.
Yeah.
What's in there?
What's in there? Like, and I gotta say it's probably not something like pure magic energy that just kind of flows into your body or something, because these seem like more solid than that. More of an, like, I feel like eating them would be a real experience.
They do kind of look like one of the solider things.
Yes,
in the Mario universe. They're very shiny.
Yeah.
They do look very metallic.
They bounce. They consistently bounce.
Yeah, they're very solid looking objects.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking this is like a very nerdy cut.
Okay.
But we're already on a Mario podcast.
Yeah.
The food that keeps coming back to my mind
Uh-huh.
is lembas bread.
Yeah.
Which is has a few properties that make it, I think, similar to coins.
Yeah.
One, it's like a very stiff bread.
Yeah.
Two, I'm pretty sure it is sweet.
Yeah.
And it tastes delicious.
It is definitely delicious.
And three, it's made for travel.
Yes, it lasts.
It's the kind of bread that if it bounced off the ground, you could probably still eat it.
Yeah.
It's a sturdy bread.
You know what You know what else that makes me think of?
What?
Potatoes.
And
especially, like, okay, there was an economic article I was reading rather recently that talked about the difference between, something like rice or wheat and potatoes.
Oh,
because rice and wheat are easier for a top-down empire to control. You have to harvest them at a specific time. They require a lot of specific time for planting and everything, the right conditions and so on. Whereas a potato, you can just stick in the ground and you're going to have more potatoes.
Right.
Yeah. So,
shall I read to you a passage from the one wiki to rule them all?
Yes.
Which is my source for this information.
Yeah.
It says, the bread was very nutritious, stayed fresh for months when wrapped in mallorn leaves, and was used for sustenance on long journeys. Lembas was light brown on the outside and the color of cream on the inside. It was made of meal that was baked thin and crisp. Gimli thought it was cram until he tasted it and found that it was sweet and pleasant, unlike cram.
Yeah, cram being like hardtack, like a traditional, very hard travel biscuit.
Yeah, which I assume is the origin of dwarven bread in Discworld.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Bread so hard it is used as a weapon.
Yes.
Anyway.
It allows you to travel far distances to get to food that you want to eat before the dwarven bread.
Anyway, to continue, it is also described as a wafer. Its recipe was a closely guarded secret, and only on rare occasions was it given to non-elves. Like the other products of elves, it was offensive to creatures corrupted by evil. Gollum refused outright to eat it, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But I think that captures the main properties of it that I think is similar to coins.
Yeah.
So I think that if you bit into a coin, it would be like lembas bread.
Yeah, it would be a nice, delicious, sweet bread.
Yeah, and I think that the metallic sheen on the outside is probably some kind of protective outer covering that keeps it fresh.
Yeah, kind of like, like the rind on sourdough or something like that, but with a glaze over it.
Yeah. So I think that we pretty much cracked it. We have solved coins.
We have solved coins. They are made of bread.
Yeah, they're magic that comes from the air, and it's made of bread.
Yes, and it's delicious.
Which I feel like we have taken a series of semi-sensible steps that has led to a completely insane conclusion.
Yes,
which is good because that's what the podcast is for. So I think that we're about ready to wrap up.
Yes.
Before we rate, do we have any other commentary now that we've come to this conclusion about the coin, about any other types of currency in this world?
I have only... okay, well, first of all, it makes sense if regional currencies are backed by regular coins.
Because they're magic food.
Yeah, because they're magic food, they're reliable, But this is also an easier way to trade, especially with other kingdoms.
Right.
So that makes sense. My one question here
Uh-huh.
is, does Wario understand any of this?
No.
Has Wario ever actually eaten a coin?
Absolutely not.
He does.
Wario, 100% convinced every single coin is solid gold. He does not know how much gold weighs. He is a cartoon man, and he doesn't realize that none of this would work if they were actually gold coins.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense.
He just wants a coin vault like Scrooge McDuck.
He does. He does. That's his greatest. And his own castle.
Anytime someone tries to explain to him what the coins actually are, he just kind of like squints and blinks a lot and like doesn't really parse it.
And he goes, yeah.
Yeah. He probably does the big like arm tackle into them. Just bounces them off screen. He's like, none of this talk about bread nonsense. He just wants the Scrooge McDuck vault.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I think that's everything then before the ranking.
I feel like more than any other game, like Mario World object,
Yeah.
we have kind of like rendered this completely nonsensical compared to its canon interpretation.
Yeah.
Which is gonna make it tricky to rate.
Yeah.
I feel.
Well, I think it's going to be up higher. Obviously, coins are important.
All right. Well, let's start near the upper third. What about Fanto?
Coins. Man, coins above Fanto. I think Fanto is very. I think the thing is, coins are not super emotionally charged in and of themselves, but they are this very important stylistic element, and we've also had a lot of fun with the lore.
Yeah, I would say that coins are intensely iconic while being almost entirely like meaning inert.
Yeah.
The fact that they can't really be situated in the universe with anything that even remotely makes sense probably doesn't help.
Yeah.
Like I think that almost any game that kind of has to treat them like currency just kind of ignores the fact that they're just floating in the air all the time.
Yeah.
But it's kind of impossible to ignore that they are.
They do that.
That they do that.
Yeah.
All right. Let's say Smithy. What do you think?
Coins above Smithy.
All right. Princess Daisy.
Okay, we're getting into the competition zone, I think.
All right.
Because Daisy is an actual character, you know?
Yeah.
Like someone with a personality. Now, to be fair, it is a fairly implicit personality.
Yeah, we did put a lot of personality into her.
Yeah, we did.
But she does have at least one personality trait.
Yes. Which is being American.
We did kind of... That was where we went with it, huh?
Yep. She
Here-
eats hamburgers.
Eat your hamburgers, Apollo. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about... This is an unusual way to rate it, but because of Coin's unique place in the Mario setting, I'm thinking, like, how would things be different if coins were completely removed?
And the answer is extremely.
You think it would be very different?
I mean, okay, actually, let's put this another way. In some games, there aren't many coins. The Mario Galaxy games mostly rely on star bits.
Right.
But those do have coins.
What coins are in Mario Galaxy?
I think they have to do with, like, they're more the collectible kind.
Regular collectibles?
I think so. There's, like, the purple coins and stuff
right,
like
because they have, like, I think they just give extra lives in that game.
No, star bits give lives. No, coins heal you. And they're collectibles that also heal you.
That's the fact that coins heal you is a very funny concept.
But it also makes sense with this.
Yeah, it actually does, huh? You
Yeah.
just kind of give it a nibble and put it in your pocket.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. I feel like that almost reinforces my point. Because Mario Galaxy wholesale replaces coins with, like, another collectible for the most part.
That is true. And, like, Odyssey has Power Moons as the main collectible, and coins is just currency.
Yeah.
that you use for like entirely cosmetic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, Mario Odyssey is the most coins as currency game of all.
Yeah, because here's the thing. I think that if the classic coin was like quietly phased out of the Mario games, I think people wouldn't really notice. Because I think of their absence from Mario Galaxy, and if they had just been removed completely, I think it would. Because, like I said, I forgot.
That's true.
There were coins in that game.
That's true. And Mario Odyssey shifts them to a role that they haven't otherwise been in platformers.
Yeah. And
in RPGs, yes, but
I guess like if the main currency of Odyssey had been anything but the golden coins, that probably would have been a little weird.
Yeah.
But I think that they do kind of function as kind of a representative icon of the series.
Yeah.
But don't really do much.
That's true.
Outside of that, and I think that in that sense, I would be comfortable placing them below Daisy.
That's fair. So just to check, what's just above Daisy?
Just above Daisy is Elven Gad.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then we put so it's Elven Gad, Professor Elven Gad, Goombella, Wish, and Ghost House.
Right, and coins clearly go below Wishes and Ghost Houses.
Right, because those are I think much more core tonal elements.
Yeah, like those are a lot easier to compare. But in terms of characters, all right, let's put them below Daisy.
Yeah, because I find it hard to put coins above any like of the core characters of the series.
Yeah.
And also I don't know, I have an emotional attachment to the feeling of like collecting a power star.
Yeah.
I don't really associate that kind of feeling with coins. Like they're an extremely generic collectible.
They are.
Which is, I think that it is impressive from a design perspective that something so generic could be like represent the series in any meaningful way.
Yeah.
And I think that in that sense it does deserve to be up there. And I think that below Princess Daisy,
it's still pretty high.
It's pretty high. That's 6 out of 19.
6 out of 19. That's good, yeah.
We have not yet come close to anything going below PD Piranha.
No, not at all. We're probably going to have to do that intentionally.
They would have to have stupider pants. Can you think of any character or enemy in the whole game with stupider pants?
I cannot.
Bert the Bashful has pretty silly pants.
Yeah.
He has endearingly stupid pants.
Yes.
PD Piranha's pants
are just bad.
They're really truly hateful pants.
Yeah.
And
they're the worst combination of diapers and short shorts.
Is this gonna have to be our new challenge? Is go a whole episode without mentioning PD Piranha's pants?
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, I think we could wrap up here.
To be fair, we haven't made an Unraveled reference this episode yet.
That's true. Holy shit, we went for almost an hour.
Yeah.
I felt like it was not quite 40 minutes yet.
Well, there you go.
All right. Well.
All right.
I guess we will talk to everyone later.
All right. See ya, and keep collecting them breads.